Hey, good morning, Choice Residential. Hope your day's off to a great start. So, today I want to just go over an email that we used to send to our buyer clients. And we would send this about a week before closing. And so, this was to just make sure everyone was on the same page and that we had given all the information to the buyer that they're going to need and adequately prepared them for what to expect on closing day. And so, at this point in my career, Kelly was sending this email on my behalf. But before Kelly was on board working with me as my executive assistant, I would send this email out. And again, it goes out about a week before closing. You can see this one went out on August 29th. This is back in 2017. The closing was on September 8th. But we basically have the attorney's information. We have the closing date and time, so we're confirming that and make sure we're on the same page. And we're putting what our final walkthrough information is going to be. So if we already know, we've already scheduled and talked about when that walkthrough is going to be and confirmed it with the listing agent, then we're going to put that information. If not, then this is going to be where we're asking them or trying to confirm what our plans are for that final walkthrough. Then we're going to put all of the utility information here. We just make it nice and easy for them to be able to switch the utilities. And we remind them to have them turned on into their name the day of closing. So, of course, we know that the seller technically owns the day of closing. And so they're supposed to keep it in their name. But of course, if you've been doing this long enough, you know that there are times where the seller takes it out of their name. The buyer isn't having it going into their name until the next day, and you're trying to do your walkthrough with no power. And of course, that doesn't work, and it's going to lead to a delayed closing. So have them put it into their name as of the day of closing. If for some reason the transaction doesn't close on that day, either they can change the turnover date or we figure out how to handle it at that point. But I'd much rather deal with an extra day or two of utilities that the buyer is paying for rather than having no power during our walkthrough. So we're going to put all this information here. And notice we put the phone number for the utility companies as well as a link to the website if they're able to make the switch online. And then closing day reminder. So this is kind of the maybe the most important part. All of these bullet points come from things that there have been issues with at some point in previous closings. And so we take those experiences and we give them that information so that we try to prevent any headaches on closing day. So the first thing is making sure they know to bring a certified check for any money that they're going to have to bring to closing. We also let them know that some attorneys require that funds be wired instead of a certified check being delivered. So that we're going to let them know all that information. And then, of course, the days of them getting money back at closing are pretty much gone. But we do let them know if they are to get money back, then they'll get that on closing day. A reminder to bring their driver's license, which they're probably going to do anyway, but also a checkbook, because if there is some kind of incremental change to the closing disclosure, they may owe a few extra dollars, and most attorneys will allow them to write a personal check. So you want to just make sure that you encourage them to bring their checkbook as well. And then remind them about how long the closing takes. So in normal times, COVID excluded, closing, let's just say, takes about an hour. But of course, there are times where there are delays and issues that come up. You want to make sure that they're taking time off from work with some flexibility so that they don't get frustrated on closing day because things are taking a little bit longer than they anticipated and they've got to get back to work, and then that creates another issue. So if they can take a whole day or a half day or at least a couple of hours off of work, that's going to be ideal. And then let's talk about the keys, because of course they aren't owed the keys until that deed gets recorded. Now, sure, sometimes some sellers will allow the keys to be handed over at the closing table, but some do not. And so you want to make sure they understand they may not get the keys until the end of the day when that deed gets recorded. And that can really throw off their plans if they have a moving truck that's coming immediately after their 10 a.m. closing. So make sure they understand with as much notice as possible that they may not be able to access the house until the end of the day after that deed gets recorded. And just let them know you're going to try to get them the keys earlier, but it just doesn't always work out that way. So just wanted to show you this email template. This is something you can also format for your listings, for your sellers, that you're going to send the seller a week before closing, making sure they know to have everything out in time and that sort of thing, and to keep utilities on in their name. All of the things that could potentially go wrong, you want to head those off up front if you can. So hopefully this email template is something you can work with, craft your own. You can create just a template within Gmail if that's what you use. or you could even just do a Word document that you then just copy and paste into the emails. Whatever works best for you and is going to be convenient. But this is a great way to keep you organized and keep your clients informed and to present yourself in a professional manner. If you have other ideas of ways that you can help keep things on track and keep your clients informed, put them in the comments below. Our other agents would love to hear what's working for you. And as always, if you have questions, you can always reach out. Take care.